Welcome to Lunchbreak from the newsroom of the Ann Arbor News. I'm Stefanie Murray, and today I'm joined by Mike Finney, who is the president and CEO of our local economic development agency, Ann Arbor Spark. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Mike is here to talk a little bit about Spark's response to the Pfizer announcement. It was 1 year ago on Tuesday that Pfizer shocked the community when the pharmaceutical company announced that it would close its R&D facilities here by 2008. And Spark was one of the local agencies that was really instrumental in organizing the community's response to that announcement. So Mike, first of all, I hope that you could tell us 1 year later, what is your assessment of how the community has been doing after that announcement?
Sure. Well, first of all, you used the term shock. Mm-hmm. And I think that's an accurate way of portraying the situation mm-hmm. when the announcement came last year. But I have to also say that our shock didn't last very long. Literally within hours, our team sprung into action to identify necessary steps to start planning for the future, and a future without Pfizer. And I'm real pleased to say that we have been able to measure some pretty solid results in the last year, mostly centered around talent and starting up new companies with some of the Pfizer colleagues. We've also been able to document that many companies throughout the region who needed high-value talent of the type that was represented by the Pfizer workforce have been able to add many of those people to their workforce. So pretty positive results overall, but we still have an awful long way to go. Mm-hmm. And we view this as a 3 to 5 year project. But the first year, I think we had some pretty good success.
Mm-hmm. And so part of what I understand you're doing is working on not only the response to Pfizer, but also marketing Ann Arbor as a community too to other businesses. And there's a nice brochure that we've seen recently. Tell us a little bit about the plan to market our city to businesses who might want to come in here.
Yeah, part of our strategy was to form a group of a number of teams mm-hmm. that would respond to various aspects of the Pfizer closure. One of them centered around marketing or business development related activities. We recognized fairly early on that we were in need of a good marketing piece that could be used as a fulfillment piece for every inquiry that we received about the community. The reality was we didn't have one. And so one of the steps that we took was, in fact, to pull together some resources. We got great support from a number of different organizations in the community, and I should highlight the Home Builders Association, who stepped up with a significant portion of the funding that was needed to produce the brochure. But we created a very nice community-wide brochure that allows us to sell all the assets that the region has to offer, from talent to quality of living to innovation. You name it, it's loaded with all the resources that we have.
Mm-hmm. And now you mentioned the teams that Pfizer, in the wake of the Pfizer announcement that Spark worked on putting together. Those are the SWAT teams, which they were called, right? The Strategic Working Action Teams. Tell us a little bit about what happened with those teams of people who were made up of community leaders. What's come of that since the
Yeah, we had 5 SWAT teams altogether, mm-hmm. and there was about 100 community volunteers involved, which was pretty incredible. Mm-hmm. And it all came together in about 48 hours, which is even more amazing. Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, it's challenging to get people to step up to the plate and take on significant responsibilities without a lot of close direction. But we were able to put together a framework and allow those SWAT teams to really build out that framework. And a lot of the benefit from that we're starting to see now. The group focused on business development. I'm really pleased to say that our overall business development effort was enhanced as a result of that team coming together. Mm-hmm. And there was actually 2 components to the team. One focused on startups, and the other focused on attracting new business to the area. Mm-hmm. Whether it was pharmaceutical or not wasn't the question, is where should we be targeting our resources to go after new business prospects. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, if you measure what happened, we had over 2,200 jobs announced that were new to the area by existing companies and some of the companies that were attracted to the area as a result of our effort last year. Mm-hmm. And that's a pretty powerful result mm-hmm. in the face of losing 2,100 jobs in January of last year. Mm-hmm. Those 2,200 are in the process of being added with companies like Metabasis from San Diego, California, mm-hmm. Aeronova from Spain, Genomatics from Germany, RTI from the Research Triangle down in North Carolina. A lot of really cool companies, and then just numerous companies already in the community that stepped up to hire some of the Pfizer colleagues. Mm-hmm. So we feel pretty good about the overall effort of the SWAT teams. Mm-hmm. Most of them have been somewhat dormant for the last 4 or 5 months, mm-hmm. but principally because a lot of the hard work that has to happen behind the scenes is what's underway right now. The biggest challenge, of course, is finding another owner for the site and getting the site completely repurposed.
And while you bring that up, I might as well ask about that now. There's been so many different, you might call them rumors in the community. Everyone seems to think they have the inside track on what's happening with the site. Could you address some of what we've heard about the U of M and other research foundations, and tell us also about Spark's role in the site redevelopment?
Yeah, so, boy, with respect to rumors, I've heard them all, and some of them are pretty hilarious. Some other ones are pretty interesting if they could happen. The reality is there has been a fair amount of activity on the site. We've helped coordinate a lot of that. So anytime there is a visitor to the region, we will coordinate key meetings with university staff, with business leaders, with Pfizer and others. And based on my knowledge, there's been at least 40 to 50 different visits to the site. Many of those by developers, some by interested parties, everything from small users looking for as little as 5,000 square feet to very large users that are looking for significant portions of the site. So it's been pretty active. We are encouraged. The challenge, of course, is transitioning the site from Pfizer's hands to another owner. And whether that's a single user or a multi-use owner is to be determined. But the sooner that happens, the better, because then you'll have someone who's focused on redeveloping it as opposed to a company that's focused on transitioning out.
And also with some of the SWAT teams, too, I understand that Spark has worked with community leaders to ask of certain things of Pfizer that they want to the company to help with in the community. And tomorrow there will be an announcement of some equipment. So could you give us a preview of what we'll be seeing tomorrow with that announcement?
Yeah, most of our requests of Pfizer fell into the philanthropic basket to try and help many of the community organizations that are being negatively impacted by the closure. But there's also needs to help some of the companies that are being formed. I think at last count we were working with more than 20 Pfizer colleague groups that are attempting to form companies. Many of those have now received partial funding and are in the process of setting up shop. And so one of the requests that we had was for equipment. We ran a pilot program a little over a year ago where Pfizer donated about $1 million worth of equipment to Spark. That equipment was then redistributed to needy life sciences companies throughout the state. We worked in partnership with MichBio and the other smart zones throughout the state. And so we're real pleased to say that Pfizer has committed another significant round of funding. This time we've got another major partner working with us. MichBio is still there, but we're also working with Southwest Michigan First. And the idea there is that the Kalamazoo area, Holland, and Ann Arbor are the three communities most impacted. And so we've been working together in partnership with, of course, Pfizer and MichBio to now distribute this next round of equipment.
And that'll happen tomorrow. We'll hear more about that.
That's correct.
Okay.
The other thing that I should point out, the MEDC and through the 21st Century Jobs Fund has been absolutely wonderful in supporting us from a cost standpoint. The first time around, Spark funded the cost of operating this equipment depot out of its own resources. And while that's a good thing and we would do it again, the MEDC stepped up and actually made an award of $550,000 to help us offset the costs we have for staffing the depot, renting the space, the physical space that we need to house the equipment in, and also for all the repairs and logistics and other costs that we know will be there over the next 18 months or so as we move forward with the program.
Good to hear.
It's great on the part of MEDC to step up and help.
Well, thank you, Mike, for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for Lunch Break from the newsroom of the Ann Arbor News. I'm Stefanie Murray.